69 on your radio dial. Welcome once again to another Jake and Dad show. Tonight we are going to be exploring the humor, the music, the dancing, and the drama of baseball. The whole show is dedicated to baseball. So getting us kicked off tonight is a little ditty that everyone will probably recognize. This is from the movie Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and this is Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly doing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Strangely enough, I thought it was appropriate.
Kelly, Kelly, the baseball game. Knew the players, knew all their names. You could see her there every day, shout hooray when they played. Her boyfriend by the name of Joe said, to Coney Isle, dear, we'll go. Then Nellie started to fret and pout, and to him I heard her shout, hey, take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. 'Cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
And that was Frank and Gene with Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So tonight, since we're going to be strictly focusing on baseball, instead of doing this day in history, I went and looked for things that happen on this day in baseball. So that's where we're going to start tonight, and we're going to do this in chronological order. So we're going back to 1905 for the very first historic event that took place in Major League Baseball on July 22nd. You want me to do the first one?
You do the first one, yeah.
All right. So in 1905, Weldon Henley of the Philadelphia Athletics pitched a no-hitter, defeating the St. Louis Browns 6-0 in the first game of a doubleheader. It was the highlight of Henry's career, Henry's season, as he went only 4-11 that year.
And then the following year, in 1906, Bob Ewing pitched the Cincinnati Reds to a 10-3 victory over the Philadelphia Phillies without a single assist registered by his teammates. That's kind of hard to imagine.
That's amazing. So
everything must have been a strikeout or a flyout.
Fly ball, a line drive, or ground out to the first baseman. In 1909, Ty Cobb of the Detroit Tigers steals second base, third base, and home plate during the 7th inning of a 6-0 win over the Boston Pilgrims.
Just like Ellie did what was it, this last week when he stole second, third, and home in a span of 3 pitches?
Yep.
Or 2 pitches. It was 2 pitches.
So this one you want to do both the actual event, and then there's a little bit of history over here.
In 1923, Walter Johnson became the first pitcher in Major League Baseball to strike out 3,000 batters. His career record of 3,508 strikeouts stood until 1983. Nolan Ryan is now the strikeout king with 5,714. Randy Johnson is second with 4,875. Roger Clemens is third with 4,672. Steve Carlton is fourth with 4,136. Bert Blyleven is fifth with 3,701. Walter Johnson is now ninth on the list.
And I'm sure back in 1923, they probably thought, oh, that's a record that's never going to be broken.
Yep.
In 1923, at League Park, and this is in downtown Cleveland, the Indians completed a 31-game homestand in which every American League team paid a visit to Cleveland. After a slow start, the Tribe finished with a 16-15 record during their month at home.
That's really strange.
Amazing, I know.
In 1926, Cincinnati had 4 triples in an 11-run second inning as the Reds beat the Boston Braves 13-1. Kurt Walker hit 2 in the inning to tie a National League record. This one's going to take a while to read.
This is an interesting one that I don't remember. I think I was looking in an Indians type encyclopedia, and in 1935 on this date, Bob Feller signed for $1.
He could buy a candy bar.
You know what? I'm going to read this one because somehow some of it got deleted, but I can kind of remember. In 1939, a Boston Bees fan outraged when Al Lopez dropped a pop foul, his second error of the game and the 7th for the team. He jumped out of the stands and went over. He went over to try and punch the Boston catcher. It didn't say whether he was successful or not. So
that's 7 errors.
Yeah, Al Lopez later became manager of the Cleveland Indians during the 1950s and was very successful as a manager.
And to balance it out, I'll read the next two. In 1948, Dale Mitchell runs his hitting streak to 21 games during a 6-5 loss to the Yankees in New York. Mitchell hit .306 and collected 204 hits in 1948.
And in case you didn't know, Dale Mitchell was a Cleveland Indian that season. Also, if you remember Don Larson's perfect game in the 1956 World Series, Dale Mitchell was the final out of that game.
Nice. Unfortunate. In 1954, Mickey Mantle hits a game-winning home run while playing shortstop.
A lot of outfielders through the years end up becoming started out as infielders. Boy, I messed this thing up too. In 1960 at Fenway Park, the Red Sox down the Indians 6-4. Vic Wertz has a 3-run homer and 4 RBIs. Ted Williams also homers, and in the 7th inning, he stole second base and became the first player to steal bases in 4 consecutive decades. Jimmy Pearsall of the Indians also homered twice, both of them off the Red Sox winning pitcher Ike DeLock. Williams will eventually be matched for his stolen base feat by Rickey Henderson in the year 2000 and also Tim Raines the following year.
Tim Raines has a really good swing in MLB The Show. In 1962, Floyd Robinson of the Chicago White Sox had 6 singles in 6 at-bats in a 7-3 victory over the Boston Red Sox.
In 1967, the Atlanta Braves used a Major League record 5 pitchers in the 9th inning of a 5-4 win over the St. Louis Cardinals. The pitchers were Ken Johnson, Ramon Hernandez, Claude Raymond, Dick Kelly, and Cecil Upshaw.
How does that even happen?
Well, that was long before the 3 batter rule, so that doesn't say that there wasn't they loaded the bases. Right.
In 1989, Johnny Bench, Carl Yastrzemski, and umpire Al Barlick are inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York.
In 1994, Jim Thome hits 3 of the Indians' 6 home runs, and Albert Bell homers for the 4th consecutive game during a 9-8 victory over the White Sox at Jacobs Field. Thome homered in his first 3 at-bats, hitting one off Jason Beret and 2 facing Scott Sanderson. The other Cleveland homers were collected by Paul Sorrento and light-hitting Kenny Lofton.
And then, in 1995, the Indians score 3 runs in the 9th inning off Dennis Eckersley to beat the Athletics 6-4 in Oakland. Jim Thome drove in the tying and go-ahead runs with a double.
The wonderful year of 1995. In 1999, Indians manager Mike Hargrove accidentally hands in an incorrect lineup card, forcing Cleveland to forfeit the designated hitter and bat starting pitcher Charles Nagy in the 7th spot in the batting order. They did lose that game, by the way.
And then the following year, in 2000, Seattle's 13-5 win over Texas was interrupted for 54 minutes when a rainstorm drenched fans at Safeco Field and the $518 million stadium's roof wouldn't close because of a computer problem. The roof began closing about 20 minutes later. I really hope it had already stopped raining at that point, because that would just add to the comedy of errors there.
Also in the year 2000, the Indians lose to the Twins 10-6 as shortstop Omar Vizquel makes an error, snapping his American League record 95-game errorless streak.
It's just me, or does that kind of seem like a small amount of games in a row? Did not make an error.
Well, I didn't look to see what the record is anymore. But, especially shortstop, that's a really tough position on the infield. But Omar, he was a magician in the field.
And now we are finally to a year in which I was alive. In 2012, after hitting a first-inning triple in the Angels' 7-4 win victory, where I saw a win over Texas.
Well, it's the same thing.
Mike Trout comes home on an Albert Pujols ground rule double, setting a team and an American League rookie record by scoring a run in his 14th consecutive game. The 20-year-old left fielder surpasses the freshman mark shared by Jake Powell in 1935 with the Senators and Don Lenhart in 1950 from the St. Louis Browns, and also eclipses the franchise record established by Jim Edmonds in 1995. Remember when Mike Trout was 20? That was 11 years ago.
Well, I don't remember.
I don't either.
I have a hard time remembering what happened this morning. So that's what happened on this particular date, July 22nd, in all of those years in Major League Baseball. And now you were interested in hearing Ichiro's theme, so we're going to do some music now. I was looking for baseball music, and somehow this one popped up, and I had never heard it before. I haven't heard the whole thing even now.
I haven't heard of it
but
even.
It's Ichiro's theme.
Go, 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 Ichiro. Round and third and heading for home. Don't you know he beats the throw? Dave says on the radio, Ichiro, you're unbelievable. He rode a blue wave to the northwest coast when he arrived 10 years ago. And then right field he's on patrol from throw. And Dave says on the radio, Ichiro, you're unbelievable. Any given moment, he could completely blow your mind. So don't you take your eyes off Ichiro. He slaps the ball with the greatest of ease, and when he steals second, he don't say please. And if they're not careful, he'll take third too. Oh, Ichiro, it's why we love you. Now go, 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 Ichiro, round and third and heading for home. And don't you know he beats the throw? And Dave says on the radio, Ichiro, you're unbelievable. Go, 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 Ichiro, round and third and heading for home. And everyone knows he'll beat the throw. And Dave will yell over the radio, Ichiro, you're unbelievable. Ichiro, you're unbelievable.
So, upon further inspection, that is by a man named Ben Gibbard, and I thought I would look up and see who that was. Turns out, Ben Gibbard is the man from Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service. I would have never in a million years guessed that the dude from Death Cab for Cutie wrote a song about Ichiro Suzuki.
He must be from Seattle.
He's from Bremerton, Washington, so close enough.
All right, so there you have it.
He was also married to Zooey Deschanel for 3 years.
We will be playing other baseball-oriented songs as the evening goes on. Oh, I might as well play this one also right now because I searched everywhere to find this song that I heard on a highlight record for the 1968 Detroit Tigers. And it's about Denny McLain, who, as you may or may not remember, won 31 games that season, the last pitcher to win 31 games. And the only thing I could find was the partial song that was on that record. I cannot find this song anywhere. So let's listen to this one too, because this is a very short song.
Denny McLain, there's never been any like Denny McLain. His pitch on the organ was perfect, and he never lost any chords. With eyes 20/20, once nearsighted Denny won all of the baseball awards.
If you remember, 1968 was the year of the pitcher. McLain won 31 games. Bob Gibson had a
1.12 ERA.
And Louis Tiant actually had a better ERA for the Indians than Denny McLain did, but he only won 21 games. So, at any rate,
That's the topic of baseball awards being very stupid. As much as Aaron Judge's 62 home runs was nice, I do not know what made that season better than Ohtani. But
well, things have changed over the course of the years. Normally, the Cy Young Award would go to the person who won the most games during the course of the year. So that's what happened. You know, you've had years since where 13 wins has won the
right, but in that
Cy
case,
Young
it was Jacob
Award.
deGrom. The one that blows my mind
Well,
is Rick
and
Porcello.
Hernandez too.
Rick Porcello.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, he won 23, didn't he?
Yeah, but he had like a 3.8 ERA. It was, doesn't, I don't know. It was weird.
Again, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. So, why don't you relate one of your going to the stadium or the ballpark stories, and then I will do mine.
Okay.
You have a couple of them.
Yeah. The first one that comes to mind, I can't remember the year, but we went to a game with, it was the Indians versus the White Sox, and we were sitting pretty close to the wall in right field, like right by the wall, like front row pretty much, and someone in batting practice, I think Alexei Ramirez, hit a home run right to me, and it went into my glove and then right back out of my glove. But thankfully, Chris Sale was standing about 10 feet away, so he got the ball and tossed it back up to me.
As he was crying.
As I was crying.
Not Chris Sale, Jake.
I think Chris Sale would cry now because he can't stop getting hurt.
So, that wasn't your first game. You did go when you were 2 years old.
I do not recall.
Yeah, we had won tickets, we meaning the support team that I worked with at a certain TSG that no longer exists. And we did some checking and found out that being only 2 years old, we didn't have to pay for you. So I took you along. I believe the game was against the Athletics. And we spent time in the little food court. And then we went out and watched some of the game, and then we went back to the food court because they had TVs on in there too, and you were more interested in the food than you were in the ball game at that point. But my very first game, my father took me when I was 7 years old. I don't remember the exact date. I've tried doing some research to try and figure out, but I remember absolutely nothing about the game other than the Washington Senators were playing the Cleveland Indians in 1958. So, and my dad did make some comment about their third baseman looking like he was asleep, their third baseman, Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew. The second game that I went to was back in the late 50s and early 60s and the 70s and the 80s. The Indians were completely uncompetitive. 1959 was the last season before that long stretch that ended in 1994. To be really competitive, they ended up in second place, 5 games behind the White Sox, who won the pennant. And I do remember sitting behind home plate at Municipal Stadium. Chicago won the game 6-5. I was able to find that game. It took place, I actually have the box score for that because I looked it up. It was on July 1st, 1959, and the White Sox beat the Indians 6-5. And players like Nellie Fox and Louis Aparicio for the White Sox, who are Hall of Famers. Tito Francona, not the manager of the Indians, but his father was with the Indians. Rocky Colavito, Minnie Minoso, who was Hall of Famer, also on the Indians that year. Jim Mudcat Grant was the starting pitcher. Jim Perry, brother of Gaylord, was a reliever in that game. And then the next game that I remember him taking me to was a Yankee doubleheader, August 20th of 1961. And if you remember, 1961 was the year Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle were chasing Babe Ruth for the home run title. And the first game of that doubleheader, both Maris and Mantle homered. It was a overcast, very gray day, and I actually missed playing in an all-star game that day because I preferred to go to the Yankee game. But then and this is what it was leading up to, these games that I'm telling you about. The first game that I went unaccompanied by an adult, I was 15 at the time, was June 10th, 1966. I went with my buddy, Tony Koala, and we went and watched the Indians play the Washington Senators, and the Indians pitcher that day was Sonny Siebert, and he threw a no-hitter. And I'm not sure what we were doing during the course of the game, obviously we knew that the Indians had won, but I didn't realize it was a no-hitter until we got home that night, and I saw it on the news that Sonny Sievert had pitched a no-hitter. So, at any rate, I know we were at the game, and I know we watched it, and I know the Indians won, but now I know it's a no-hitter, but I didn't at the time. So, at any rate, I'm going to look for some background music, and then I have a little story that I wrote about another game that I went to back in 1971. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to read it because I don't remember how much I actually put in there as far as what was going on at the time. But I got this prepared. If I can find it now. Here it is. Hopefully you'll be able to hear my narration as this background music is going. Hopefully it's appropriate for the occasion. And a one, and a two. Being an avid sports fan and living within 25 miles of Cleveland, Ohio, I grew up as a Cleveland Indians fan. I've spent the better portion of each spring and summer at the ballpark since the first time my father took me to a big league baseball game when I was 7 years old. In the 30-plus years, a lot of plus years, since I first attended a game, I've witnessed many exciting events. I've seen 2 no-hitters pitched, 13 opening day games, including the game in which the all-time Major League record for attendance at an opening day game was set, and I've seen Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris hit home runs in their quest to catch Babe Ruth. I've seen Hall of Famers Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, Rod Carew, Al Kaline, Roberto Clemente, Yogi Berra, and Carl Yastrzemski on the field of play. All of these events and athletes were exciting, but the day I will remember most is the day one of a baseball fan's dreams came true for me. I usually attended games with my brother Pete, my best friend Rich, Rich's brothers, and various other friends and acquaintances. In all, we usually had a group of between 5 and 10 go downtown to the lakefront. We would arrive when the stadium gates opened in order to attend batting practice. It was not unusual for our group to get 5 or 6 baseballs during batting practice at one game. In this way, we were able to keep our neighborhood baseball field supplied with balls for the entire summer without actually having to go to a store to buy any. One particular week in August 1972, the Boston Red Sox were in town for a 4-game series, and we were going to see all 4 games. The second night of the series found us seated in our usual seats in left field behind the bullpen in foul territory. Buddy Hunter, a utility infielder for the Red Sox, was at the plate. Hunter hit a foul ball down the left field line, which looked more and more like it was heading straight for the section we were sitting in the closer it got. Rich jumped up after quickly gauging the angle the ball was taking in order to catch the ball on its ricochet off the seats. As Rich was moving into the aisle, I stood up on my seat and caught the ball barehanded. I don't even know now if my hands stung from the catch. I was floating on air. I received congratulations and pats on the back from my friends as one person after another asked to see the ball. It has been almost 20 years and a lot after since I caught that foul ball off the bat of Buddy Hunter of the Boston Red Sox, but I still get a thrill whenever I think about it. The ball is sitting in a special place in my home, and every time I look at it, I remember that night at the stadium. And that special place in my home happens to be the bottom drawer of my dresser that's sitting in the basement, which I don't use anymore. But I still have the ball. So there you have it. Thank you.
I have the power to summon applause from all the people that I keep in my
Thank you.
in my basement.
Oh, so I just put this notebook away, which has all of our information. That's not supposed to keep going.
Okay, folks, you can stop now.
All right, so a little bit of humor here. let's go through the Jerry Coleman stuff first. Okay. Jerry Coleman, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was actually a Rookie of the Year with the Yankees back in the late 40s. And
I'm accidentally close it because I keep looking down the list.
And after his time with the, I think he was also an MVP in a World Series for the Yankees as well. So he wasn't a slouch as a player. He was pretty decent. And he was also a war hero. I'm not sure which service he was in. I want to say the Marines, but I'm not sure that that's what it was. I believe he was a pilot, though. So at any rate, he became the broadcaster for the San Diego Padres. And he had some problems at times when he was doing his broadcasts. So I've collected a page worth of bloopers that he did while he was on the air calling games for the San Diego Padres. So let's open this up so it's easier to get to. And why don't you go ahead and start?
Jesus Alou is in the on-deck circus. Johnny Grubb slides into second with a stand-up double. Gonzo leaps like a giraffe and grabs it. Mike Caldwell, the Padres' right-handed southpaw, pitched tight. Ron Guidry is not very big, maybe 140 pounds, but he has an arm like a lion. Rich Folkers is throwing up in the bullpen.
What was that?
Rich Folkers is throwing up in the bullpen. Billy Allman has all of his in-law and outlaws here this afternoon. Sometimes big trees grow out of acorns. I think I heard that from a squirrel. I sure hope you're staying alive for the upcoming Dodgers series. That's the fourth extra base hit for the Padres. 2 doubles and a triple. Sanguian is totally unpredictable to pitch to because he's so unpredictable. At the end, excitement maintained its hysteria. Okay? The new Haitian baseball can't weigh more than 4 ounces or less than 5. Oh, the way he's swinging the bat, he won't get hit until the 20th century. That noise in my earphones knocked my nose off, and I had to pick it up and find it. I've had a couple of mistakes I'd like to do over. I feel like that's a song title. Hi, folks. I'm Jerry Gross Coleman. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. This is Jerry Gross. No, it isn't. It's Jerry Coleman. There's a fly to deep center. Winfield is going back. Back. He hits his head against the wall. It's rolling towards second base. From the way Denny is shaking his head, he's either got an injured shoulder or a gnat in his eye. We now pause 10 stations for a minute identification. George Hendrick simply lost that sunblown pop-up. Those amateur umpires are certainly flexing their fangs tonight. Oh my god.
He was 1 in a million.
The one that I was losing it at when I read it first was Ron Guidry doesn't look very big, about 140 pounds, but he has the arm of a lion.
So those were the Jerry Coleman ones that we could find. Ralph Kiner, who was a home run hitter, mostly for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Isn't he a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
Okay. 369 home runs in his career.
He also spent some time in 1954 with the Indians. But he was a broadcaster for the New York Mets. And he was also famous for having some bloopers while he was broadcasting. So here are the Kiner ones. There's not as many, but I'm willing to bet that some of them are just as funny. There's a base hit into center field as Santana can't get to it, but he goes over there and makes the catch.
Okay.
He's going to be out of action the rest of his career. Kiner, after a Japanese player had broken Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games played, that is because the fences are a lot shorter over there.
Okay.
The Pirates won 8 of their 102 losses against the Mets last season.
Okay.
When Barry and Bobby Bonds were about to become the all-time father-son home run champions, they will surpass the father-son tandem of Buddy Bell and Yogi Berraisms.
Who's the father, Yogi?
Apparently.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he was older than Buddy Bell.
I can only imagine.
On catcher Benito Santiago. Santiago in Spanish means San Francisco. No, Santiago in San Diego means St. James. Now for a word from Manufacturers Hangovers.
What?
Manufacturers Hanover, I think, is a bank.
Okay.
On this Father's Day, we again wish you all a happy birthday. Solo homers usually come with no one on base.
You know, when I was little, I used to think a grand slam was dependent on how far you hit it.
I used to think that when you were figuring batting average, that if you hit a home run, it should be worth more than just a single.
To be fair, it kind of probably should be.
Well,
You're doing more.
They came up with those statistics to the OPS and that kind of stuff. Yeah. All of his saves have come in relief appearances.
Beautiful.
If Casey Stengel were alive today, he'd be spinning in his grave.
Like a top or a dreidel.
The Mets have gotten their leadoff batter on only once this inning.
I would hope so.
And finally, there's a lot of heredity in that family.
So true. Okay.
So another Hall of Famer.
Phil Rizzuto, who was he a second baseman or a shortstop?
He was a shortstop.
Okay.
For the Yankees, and then became their broadcaster.
So, starting off, we have jammed him. That went pretty far for a jam job. Oh, it went, holy cow, it jammed him. A home run. The old eyes are gone. Holy cow, I'm going home. I've got to get my eyes examined. There was a home run Bryce Harper hit on a broken bat. It completely snapped his bat in half, but it was a home run. Italians are very romantic, a very arduous people. Reggie's home run has gone clear out of the ballpark. Bill White, then his partner. Actually, Scooter, that ball landed in the seats. Rizzuto, it doesn't matter. They can't see it at home. They can't see it anyway at home. If Don Mattingly... Okay. If Don Mattingly isn't the American League MVP, nothing's kosher in China. Okay. I'm going to start using that. Rizzuto, as the camera zooms in on a woman in the stands. What a nice-looking young lady. She reminds me of that old song. A pretty girl is like a memory. White, his partner. Scooter, I think that's Melody. Rizzuto, really? How do you know her name is Melody? What? This next one is like, a high fly, and while it's in the air, happy birthday to Daphne Lapizana. She turns 18 today. Okay. Uh-oh, deep to left center. Nobody's gonna get that one. Holy cow, somebody got it. Okay. Alright, stay fair. No, it won't stay fair. Good thing it didn't stay fair, or I think he would have got it. And then, finally, well, that kind of puts the damper on even a Yankee win. He was still on the air just after a game when he heard that Pope Paul VI had just died. Okay. There's only 3 of these, so... I have no idea who this is.
This is Ron Fairley.
Okay.
Who was a first baseman and outfielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm thinking maybe the Cardinals as well, but He became a broadcaster, maybe for the Angels, I think.
Okay.
So that's Ron. This is Ron Fairley's.
Like I said, there's only 3 of these, but the last one is really, really entertaining. Last night, I neglected to mention something that bears repeating. Then, he fakes a bluff. And my favorite, he's getting up there in age. He's 35. That should give you a pretty good idea of how old he is. I would assume it does. Look at that. I got that on real good.
Okay, and here are the last of the broadcast bloopers. This one's by Kurt Gowdy, who for a time was the Red Sox broadcaster. And then he did the Game of the Week on Saturday for many, 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 many years. This was during a rain delay when they were putting the tarp on the field. He said, "He is the only groundskeeper in the league who at one time used to be a former major leaguer." Okay. Chicago Cub announcer Jack Brickhouse said a singing rendition of the national anthem had been done a cappella. Harry Carey. How could he, meaning George Orta, lose the ball in the sun? He's from Mexico. I would always sing it, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, because I think it's the only song I knew the words to. And they, Expo fans, discovered boo is pronounced the same in French as it is in English. So, those are the broadcast bloopers. But as everybody knows, some of the funniest things that were ever said were by Yogi Berra, the baseball philosopher. And Jake is going to give us a rendition of some of the Yogi Berra-isms.
I should also probably read these because I haven't seen like any of them.
Well, then you want me to do the Yogis and you can do the Caseys.
I like reading them though.
All right. So, Yogi Berra was a catcher,
A very good
Hall of
catcher.
Famer for the New York Yankees, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's been in more World Series games than any other player. Hall of Famer, manager, and all-around philosopher of baseball. So here are some Yogi Berra-isms.
It ain't over till it's over. Baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. I always thought that record would stand until it was broken. You can observe a lot by watching. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. About a St. Louis restaurant, no one goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Okay. About the effect of the sun in left field in the old Yankee Stadium during late season games. It gets late early out there. About Bill Dickey. He learned me all his experience. If people don't want to come to the ballpark, how are you going to stop them? We made too many wrong mistakes. Okay. Pie a la mode with ice cream.
Yeah, it's better that way.
I wish I had an answer to that because I'm tired of answering that question. You tell the stupidest questions. Never answer an anonymous letter. On the great Sandy Koufax. This one is actually just a good point. I can see how he won 25 games. What I don't understand is how he lost 5. On lining up for a spring training drill. Pair him up in threes. On the 1973 Mets. We were overwhelming underdogs. The recording heard on the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center's phone. This message won't be over till it's done. In baseball, you don't know nothing. On being honored in his hometown of St. Louis during his rookie season. I want to thank everybody for making this day necessary. The future ain't what it used to be. Why buy good luggage? You only use it when you travel. On pregame preparation, I usually take a 2-hour nap from 1 to 4. I'm advising a young player trying to emulate the great Frank Robinson's swing. If you can't imitate him, don't copy him. I'm not going to buy my kids an encyclopedia. Let them walk to school like I did. This one's very true. All pitchers are liars or crybabies. On his hitting approach, I can't think and hit at the same time. So I'm ugly. I never saw anyone hit with his face. He hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. On economics, a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. Always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours. And finally, it's deja vu all over again.
And Yogi learned from the best, as you're about to hear, because we've got a lot of Casey Stengalesms.
Like, 3 pages?
There's more than 3 pages. Casey was a trip, and his are actually called. It's a specific language. It's called Stengalese. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to do all of these if you don't want to.
I have not. I've heard, as far as I know, none of them. I have heard none of these, so these will be completely new to me.
If you want, we can share these.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Up against the unhappy fact that he sometimes couldn't remember the names of his players when he managed the Mets in their early years, Casey shrugged and said, "Them all are good boys." He also said, "The Mets is like the WPA. We give everyone a job." As manager of the Boston Bees in the late 30s and early 40s, Casey presided over more losses than wins. Attendance was awful. It was during those days that Casey cut one of his pitchers, sending him to the minor league team in Hartford for lack of courage under pressure. The pitcher was Warren Spahn. After serving in the military for 3 years, he'd win 363 major league games. Yes, I said no guts to a kid who wound up being a war hero and one of the best pitchers anybody ever saw, Casey said. You can't say I don't miss him when I miss him. From 1949 to 1960, Casey presided over 7 World Series wins by the Yankees. It was no surprise when people started honoring him in Glendale, California, his hometown. They dedicated Stengel Field. I feel greatly honored to have a ballpark named after me, especially since I've been thrown out of so many. Also by then, Casey had seen more than a few innovations in the game. 1955 brought batting helmets. If we'd had them when I was playing, John McGraw would have insisted that we go up to the plate and get hit on the head, Casey said. In 1958, Casey was asked to educate a committee of the U.S. Senate regarding baseball's reserve clause. Huh?
Apropos.
Okay. Apropos of nothing, he took advantage of the big stage to review his progress in baseball, which had not been without missteps. And he said, I had many years I was not so successful as a ball player, as it is a game of skill. And then I was no doubt discharged by baseball, in which I had to go back to the minor leagues as a manager, and after being in the minor leagues as a manager, I became a major league manager in several cities and was discharged. We call it discharged because there was no question I had to leave. By 1960, which would be Stengel's final season with the Yankees, he was beginning to feel his age, which was 70. He took some time away from the team and checked into the hospital for a physical. When he rejoined the team, he claimed the news was mostly encouraging. I'll tell you something. They examined all my organs. Some of them are quite remarkable and others are not so good. A lot of museums are bidding for them. Shortly thereafter, he was discharged by the Yankees, which meant there was no question he had to leave, though he would return to New York in 1962 to manage the Mets to 4 last-place finishes. Somehow he lived for another decade after that debacle. The words on a plaque at the site where Casey and his wife Edna are buried suggest that he had no trouble shrugging off the losses. There comes a time in every man's life, and I've had plenty of them. Excuse me. Being with a woman all night never hurt no professional baseball player. It's staying up all night looking for a woman that does him in. Don't drink in the hotel bar because that's where I do my drinking. Can't anybody here play this game? Stengel first posed this question about the original Mets. Good pitching will always top good hitting and vice versa. He threw the ball as far from the bat as close to the plate as possible, on Satchel Paige. He's a great hitter until I play him, on Met Jerry Lumpy. Oh my goodness, he's lumpy. He's a remarkable catch, that Canzaneri.
It's spelled the way he said it. That's not his real name.
Okay.
It was Canizaro.
Okay. Okay. He's a remarkable catch, that Canzaneri. He's the only catcher in baseball who can't catch. I can make a living telling the truth. I don't know if he throws a spitball, but he sure spits on the ball. If anyone wants me, tell them I'm being embalmed. What did he mean by that?
He was old.
Okay, well, yeah. I'm glad I had okay, whoa, I can't read. I'm glad I had baseball knuckles and couldn't become a dentist. Referring to his brief career as a dental student. And that is the end of page 1.
Most ball games are lost, not won.
That is true.
Sure, I smoke, but not all the time. I stop when I go to bed, and you can look that up. The combined results of all our catchers turned out fairly good, and then bad. The young fella has effeminate appeal, just like me after meeting Robert Goulet. Then I'd have 2 languages I couldn't speak, French and English both, when asked why he never visited Montreal. You commence getting tired 2 days later from staying up all night, which wasn't 'cause you're going west, and you can't even get a sandwich in the whole town on arriving in Los Angeles after a long trip. You fellers should do real good here now that I've added my fellers to your fellers. And the one who should help you most is a feller I shouldn't have given you. He's old, but he still glues his meat together after he gets hurt. It's describing Enos Slaughter.
Okay.
About this autograph business. Once someone in Washington sent up a picture to me and I wrote, "Do good in school." I look up. This guy's 78 years old. As New York Yankees manager. In 1949, after he had been named Manager of the Year and ran into the 1948 Manager of the Year, Billy Meyer, "Ain't it funny, Bill, how all of a sudden I got so smart and you got so dumb?" On Ron Swoboda as a new Met. Amazing strength, amazing power. He can grind the dust out of the bat. He will be great, super, wonderful. Now if he can only learn to catch a fly ball. Finale to April press conference introducing the New York Mets in their debut year of 1962. Stengel had introduced all of his players but had been unable to recall the name of right fielder Gus Bell. And so you can say this tremendous and amazing new club is going to be ready in every way tomorrow when the bell rings. And that's the name of my right fielder, Bell. On the New York Mets when he managed the Mets. Been in this game 100 years, but I see new ways to lose 'em I never knew existed before. Can anybody here play this game? You had that one too, didn't you? What he was alleged to have said to a barber. "Don't cut my throat. I may want to do that later myself." On autographs. "Give 'em here. I'll sign anything but veal cutlets. My ballpoint pen slips on cutlets." On an aging, injured Gil Hodges as a Met. "He feels better on one leg than anybody else I got on 2. On the young Mickey Mantle. "He has it in his body to be great." Hornsby could run like anything, but not like this kid. Cobb was the fastest I ever saw for being sensational on the bases, but he wasn't a long hitter. There have been a lot of fast men, but none as big and strong as Mantle. He's going to be around a long time. If he can stay well, that fella of mine. On the versatility of Tommy Byrne. He played first base in the outfield, pinch hit, and did everything but collect tickets. On Babe Ruth. He was very brave at the plate. You rarely saw him fall away from a pitch. He stayed right in there. No one drove him out.
And then we have on Yogi Berra. They say he's funny. Well, he has a lovely wife and family, a beautiful home, money in the bank, and he plays golf with millionaires. What's funny about that? He'd fall in a sewer and come up with a gold watch. Stengle in referring to Larry Gilbert. He's dead at the present time. On a pitcher who was wild and low. He's throwing grounders. On watching the immense Washington Senator Frank Howard take a mighty swing at a ball that dribbled into the infield. How can a guy who's so big and strong hit the ball so near? On being asked by a reporter what people your age think of modern-day ball players. How the hell should I know? Most of the people my age are dead. I broke in with 4 hits, and the writers promptly decided they had seen the new Ty Cobb. It only took 4 days. It only took me a few days to correct that impression. On winning the 1958 World Series as a Yankee manager. I couldn't have done it without my players. Before the 1951 All-Star Game. I came in here and a fella asked me to have a drink. I said I don't drink. Then another fella said, I hear you and Joe DiMaggio aren't speaking. And I said, I'll take that drink. On his 3 Mets catchers. I got one that can throw but can't catch, and one that can catch but can't throw, and one who can hit but can't do either. On curfews. I got players who got bad watches. They can't tell midnight from noon. Baseball is my very life, my one consuming interest. They said the spitter was filthy. Well, it wasn't any Little Lord Fauntleroy pitch. Some of the hurlers really slobbered all over the leather, but it deserved a better fate and a better name. I was such a dangerous hitter, I even got intentional walks during batting practice. When asked at age 85 if he had his life to live over, would he go into baseball again? I'd be an astronaut. I love the moon. Signs as recited by Dodger Frank Scaff, just as he had been told by Stengle. If I'm looking at you, you're hitting. If I'm walking away from you and spitting, you're hitting. If I'm looking at you and spitting, you're not hitting. If I'm walking away and not spitting, you're not hitting. On Billy Martin, if liking a kid who will never let you down in the clutch is favoritism, then I plead guilty. After the Mets enjoyed their first 4-game winning streak. I am going to grab the next page.
Yeah, just do this page and then we'll do something else.
If this keeps up, I'm about to manage until I'm 100. Admonishing his Yankees. If we're going to win the pennant, we've got to start thinking we're not as good as we think we are. If you're playing baseball and thinking about managing, you're crazy. You'd be better off thinking about being an owner. Reply wired to a soldier who had cabled Stengle to criticize a strategic move. If you're so smart, let's see you get out of the Army. On announcing his retirement as manager of the New York Yankees in 1960, I'll never make the mistake of being 70 again. At the California press conference announcing that he would manage the New York team, the Mets, I'm pleased to be managing the New York Knickerbockers on players who didn't drink. Oh, I didn't see the end of the quotes and you didn't space them enough, and I thought it was the same part. On players who didn't drink. It only helps them if they can play. After playing in the 1971 Old Timers game at Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium, many of the players' old adversaries. What?
Many of the players' old adversaries of his.
Okay, it just seemed like it got cut off. It's wonderful to meet so many friends that I didn't used to like. As Mets manager on the Polo Grounds. Just when my fellows learn to hit in this ballpark, they're going to tear it down. On Phil Rizzuto as a Brooklyn tryout. Kid, you're too small. You ought to go out and shine shoes. To a batter coming up with bases loaded. Let him hit you. I'll get you a new neck. On Bobby Richardson. Look at him. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't chew, he doesn't stay out late, and he still can't hit 250. On managing the Brooklyn Dodgers in the 1930s. Managing a team back then was a tough business. Whenever I decided to release a guy, I always had his room searched first for a gun. You couldn't take chances with some of them birds. Managing is getting paid for home runs someone else hits. When he was managing the old Boston Braves and he asked about the merits of a recruit whom he had sent away to the minors for further seasoning. Mister, that boy couldn't hit the ground if he fell out of an airplane. Left-handers have more enthusiasm for life. They sleep on the wrong side of the bed and their head gets more stagnant on that side. Okay.
Left-handers are a little screwy.
Dodgers manager Van Lingle Mungo and I get along fine. I just tell him I won't stand for no nonsense, and then I duck. When spotted by a fan in a hotel lobby by a man who asked, "Are you Casey Stengel?" "Nah, I'm just the fella who plays him on TV."
Casey was special.
Yeah.
There's a lot more of these, but that would take up the rest of our time here tonight. So, I am going to play another song. And this one is one of my favorites because this one is about my favorite player in baseball. This one I first heard on the highlights for the 1967 Boston Red Sox. This is the Yastrzemski song by a man named Jess Kane.
Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, the man they call Yas. We love him, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski. What power he has! Our Boston team is always on the beam, 'cause we got Yaz. We Fenway fans, we stomp and clap our hands, and Yaz is Jazz. Those rival pitchers on the mound all shake. They dread each windup that they have to take. When number 8 is standing at the plate, and then he swings. Whoa, there it goes again. Wow, there it goes again. Wow, there it goes again. A rival batter hits one off the wall, and there's Yastrzemski going for the ball. They try for 2, the runner knows he's through. Ah, look at Yaz! Whoa, he threw him out again. Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, the man they call Yaz. Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, he's the idol of Boston, Mass. On Beacon Hill, he gives them quite a thrill. In Southie, too, there's lots of whoop-de-doo. In the North End, they call Carl friend, and they hope the season will never end. From Wellesley Way, they come to watch him play, and on Cape Cod, they take a holiday from all about. They come to shout, yell for Yaz to hit one out. The state of Maine is going quite insane, and in Vermont, it's only Yaz they want from every state. They come and wait to see Yastrzemski at home plate. Our Boston team, it's always on the beam, 'cause we got Yaz. We Fenway fans, we stomp and clap our hands, and Yaz is Jazz. Although Yastrzemski is a lengthy name, it fits quite nicely in our Hall of Fame. We love him so. In Boston we all know that when he swings, yeah, here we go again.
Of course, that 1967 season, Carl Yastrzemski won the MVP and
Wasn't that
took
his
the
Triple Crown year?
Yes, that was his Triple Crown year, and took the Red Sox to the World Series, which unfortunately they lost in 7 games to the St. Louis Cardinals. We do have some important play-by-play, I don't know how you want to call this. I mean, they're
Some legendary calls.
Some of them are radio calls, which I always thought were the best, by some Hall of Fame broadcasters, and some of them are television broadcasts. But before we do that, long ago, I found an article on the internet about unwritten rules of baseball. And our staff editorialist,
The man with the opinion.
is going to go through some of these and tell you what he thinks about them. Now, these are not recent. I don't remember what year I did these, and some things have changed as far as, you know, what's unwritten rules, and, you know, with the new players that are coming in, things are different to a certain extent. In fact, some of these are downright just no, that's not true anymore. So take it away, Jake, and these are the unwritten rules of baseball.
All right. Time for my incredibly opinionated opinions to start flowing. Don't mention a no-hitter. Okay, I think that's fair. You don't, I mean, it's a bit superstitious, but okay, that's understandable.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true of in the dugout, but that also used to be true of broadcasters, and that's definitely not the case anymore.
MLB jinxes it every time. They're like, oh, Spencer Strider's only 12 outs away, and then literally the next pitch is a single. And everyone's like, dude, stop it. Pitchers have to stay in the dugout. Okay, that's understandable, because you should stay with your team. Don't steal if you're significantly ahead. I think we should not try to protect the feelings of the other team. It is a competition for a reason. Don't spend time admiring your home run. I don't think we should be trying to protect the feelings of the other team because it's a competition. Don't show up your fielders when they commit an error, okay? That's not being an ass. Don't bunt to break up a no-hitter. That's very scummy, so I agree. Don't swing on 3-0 counts. I don't think we should be trying to save the feelings of the other team because it's a competition. Don't rub the spot that you got hit. That's just weird. Don't walk in front of the catcher or umpire on the way to the batter's box. That is so incredibly specific.
We see that almost every game these days, too.
Don't throw a curveball to a fellow pitcher. That one doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
Always let the center fielder call the ball. I didn't know that was an unwritten rule. I thought that was just how it is.
Well, the center fielder is supposed to be the captain of the outfield, just like the shortstop is supposed to be the captain of the infield. And he's usually your best athlete, to be honest with you.
Don't show up a hitter after a strikeout. Once again, I don't think we should be trying to save the feelings of the other team.
And that's something
That's a
that
competition.
relief pitchers on
Do
a
a
regular
lot.
basis.
I mean, Lance Lynn grabs his nuts after every strikeout. If a pitcher hits a teammate, hit one of theirs. That's bullshit. You're just trying to... That's the most petty, childish thing I've ever heard.
But that one probably still exists.
Oh, definitely. Don't stand near the dirt when a pitcher is warming up. In all the baseball games I have watched, the only pitcher I have ever seen complain about it was Will Smith. And he screamed at Juan Soto because Juan Soto was standing close so he could try to time up the fastball. I don't see how there's anything wrong with that, but he is a psychopath that screamed that he was going to kill the umpire because he got caught for having some sort of pine tar on his arm when he pitched for Milwaukee. So, very, very clearly not mentally stable. Don't step on the pitcher's mound. Okay, I guess.
I'm not sure who that is referring to, because the pitcher has to step on the mound.
Well, I mean, they don't. They're not. They're floating.
And you know when they have meetings on the mound, the infield comes in and they all stand on the mound.
I don't understand that. I don't know. Everyone must be involved in an on-field fight, I guess, because we have to have participation. Still kind of stupid to me, but play for a win on the road, a tie at home. Okay, that makes sense. That's not really an unwritten rule.
That's kind of a strategic
right. That's not an unwritten rule
thing.
Don't talk to opposing fielders trying to catch a ball. That's an Alex Rodriguez thing. He did that a lot.
And actually, I have since heard that that's actually part of the baseball rules.
Yeah.
However, you see that all the time where they're, during the batting practice or the warm-ups that they do before the game actually starts, that they're talking to other players on the team.
That's don't talk to opposing fielders trying to catch a ball. Like when there's a pop-up, like Alex Rodriguez would be like, I got it, as he's running past him and they drop it. That's what that's talking about. That is ridiculous. Never make the first out at third. How is that an unwritten rule? That's just, let's try to not lose.
That's a rally killer.
Hit where it's pitched. No kidding.
Well, that these days where everybody's trying to hit a home run, that's probably not true anymore. That it's become acceptable to strike out 100 times a year just in order to be able to hit home runs. So hitting a ball where it's pitched is, don't try and pull everything. Hit the ball to the opposite field if you have to. And there are some power hitters that do that.
Never. I already read that. Take that strike when behind. That's understandable because you're trying to work the pitch count up a little bit, not just ground out immediately. Don't help the other team, obviously. Don't come in too early. Okay.
Well, that's basically because it's easier to come in on a ball than it is to go back on it.
Don't give an intentional walk if first base is occupied.
Depends on who's batting.
Exactly.
And as long as there is an empty base, that's still considered a base that can be put, a person can be put on.
Don't steal if you're behind. So remember this, folks. You're not allowed to steal if you're winning or if you're losing. You're only allowed to steal if it's a tie game.
Well, again, that's a case of... And it's changed this year because of how easy it is to steal bases now.
No, I know, but I mean, I still think it's so stupid.
Again,
it's like, don't steal when you're up by 5.
Again, it's a rally killer, so that's why that was.
You shouldn't steal third with 2 outs. We'll tell that to Ellie Rodriguez. Different person now, Ellie De La Cruz, because he stole second, third, and home with 2 outs. So, don't walk a right-handed hitter to pitch to a left-handed hitter. That is incredibly specific.
Unless, of course, you're a left-handed pitcher.
Exactly. Don't make a power hitter bunt. Obviously, I don't want Pete Alonso bunting.
In this day and age,
actually, he would probably be more productive.
There are so few batters that can bunt the ball that can be. It's not just power hitters. At this point in time, you don't want anybody to bunt unless they actually know how to do it.
Don't make... Oh, I already read that one. Don't play against the percentages. So this rule applies to pretty much every sport, but applies mainly to managers for baseball. If across a player's career he's hitting 16 for 20 against a pitcher, that pitcher shouldn't throw against him. On the other hand... If a player is 1 for 15, perhaps a pinch hitter would be your best bet. That's understandable. Playing for 1 run will get you that. Giving away a ball. So basically, you're supposed to toss the ball to a kid in the stands if you can find a kid.
No,
basically.
They all do that these days.
Keep the ball if you have a kid at home. Stay the whole game if you're behind the plate. How about stay the whole game no matter what? A manager should be detached from his players. I completely disagree. Players from opposing teams shouldn't fraternize.
Oh, that's the one we were talking about before.
That's real interesting. I live for the Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman saga, in which they get in rundowns and yell at each other.
9 times out of 10, you see the first baseman talking to whoever is standing on the base next to him.
Don't use a closer in a tie game. Use your closer in late inning situations. Really?
That has also become something that I think actually Francona started doing that when Andrew Miller was a member of the Indians. He started using them more in strategic places rather than in a closing situation. So it's not unusual if the 8th inning is where the big hitters on the other team come in. That's when you put your closer in, not waiting till the 9th inning when the bottom of the lineup's coming
but I just use your closer in late inning situations. Well, obviously, you're not going to bring in Mariano Rivera in the 4th inning. Like, that's stupid.
But again, Miller used to come in whenever the situation warranted.
Well, he was never a closer, though.
He was on occasion.
I know, but I'm thinking, like, the guys that are up there and get, like, 40, 50 saves. All fielders need to be on fair territory. No way, no kidding. you're not going to get much value if you're the center fielder and you're standing in the left field foul corner.
Unless statistics show that the batter that's up there always hits the ball foul.
Yeah, that's true.
In which case, he'll be back in the minors shortly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so why don't you select some broadcasts that we want to listen to? I don't know that I've got listed who the actual broadcasters are for all of these, but some of these are classic, historic play-by-play calls from different years, different seasons, and some very historic calls. What I'm going to start out with this one. The 715th home run for Henry Aaron. That game was broadcast on, I don't know which network, but it was like the game of the day or the game of the week at that time. And Kurt Gowdy was doing the play-by-play. I don't have that particular call, but if you remember, this was in 1974,
I think.
And the Dodgers were in Atlanta for that game. So we've got the play-by-play from the Braves announcer, which was Milo Hamilton. And then we know who the Dodgers broadcaster was, Vince Scully. So just to show you the difference between these, if I can find it now, I know it's on this one. Oh, because it's not in the right order. So this is the first one's going to be the Milo Hamilton call.
Cameron Hanks historic homer.
Okay. So this is Milo Hamilton, the Atlanta Braves broadcaster.
Henry Aaron in the second inning walked and scored. He's sitting on 7-14. Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. The fireworks are going. Henry Aaron is coming around third. His teammates are at home plate. And listen to this crowd.
So I watched, I watched that game on TV, and I got to hear the Kurt Gowdy call. And obviously I'm not in a place in the country where I can hear Braves calls. But as we all know, probably I don't think you get an argument from anybody who knows baseball who would argue that Vince Scully wasn't the best play-by-play person that ever lived. This is his call of the same game because Dodgers were the opposition. So here's Vinny's call. If we can get it to start here.
Once again, a standing ovation for Henry Aaron. So the confrontation for the second time. Aaron walked in the second inning. He means the tying run at the plate now. So we'll see what Downing does. Al at the belt delivers, and he's low. Ball one. And that just adds to the pressure. The crowd booing. Downing has to ignore the sound effects and stay a professional and pitch his game. 1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. For baseball, What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And it is a great moment for all of us, and particularly for Henry Aaron, who was met at home plate not only by every member of the Braves, but by his father and mother. He threw his arms around his father, and as he left the home plate area, his mother came running across the grass, threw her arms around his neck, kissed him for all she was worth. As Aaron circled the bases, the Dodgers on the infield shook his hand, and that was a memorable moment.
So as you can see, I'm not going to play the whole thing because a lot of it is just the celebration and what was going on the field after the pitch. But Vince Scully used to, it was like listening to somebody narrate a story. And that's not to say Milo Hamilton's call wasn't exciting. It was. And Milo Hamilton is in the Hall of Fame as well, having won the Ford C. Frick Award. And so I'm not criticizing his call, but Vince Scully was he was a storyteller when he was broadcasting the games. And probably I don't have the no-hitter that he called for Sandy Koufax, but I have the Kirk Gibson at bat from the 1988 World Series. Is something you wanted to play instead?
Yeah, we'll do that one next. But I heard him mention Buckner.
Oh, okay. So
That one's on the very bottom.
Bill Buckner was actually a very good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
He in this day and age, if somebody looked at his statistics, he would be a Hall of Famer. He had close to 3,000 hits during the course of a very long career, and was a very good hitter. He had some physical problems, basically with his legs, and once the legs go on you, it's very difficult to maintain your level of excellence on the field. So by the time this happened, Buckner was getting near the end of his career. This is another call by Vince Scully. This is from the 1986 World Series, the New York Mets against the Boston Red Sox, and this is Game 6.
Calvin Giraldi couldn't do it, and it's up to Bob Stanley, and it's up to Mookie Wilson, and the crowd is alive again, and Rick Aguilera praying that he'll get off the hook. Mookie Wilson struck out, single to right, grounded out, and then sacrificed, and that was the bunt that Gedman fielded and threw high to Spike on at second base.
Dale Ford just checked that ball, rubbing it. Now he's going out to talk to Stanley. I wonder what that's all about.
Stanley throws, among other things, a palm ball. You have the tying run 90 feet away in Kevin Mitchell, and the possible winning run at first in Ray Knight. And here's Mookie. Fouled off. 55,078 here at Shea, and they have really been put through the ringer. One ball, one strike. Ball two. And on deck, Howard Johnson, who had that most important at-bat in the ninth inning. Fouled away, 2-2. Fouled away again. Fouled away. Tension mounts some more with 2 out in the 10th. 5-4 Red Sox. Ray Knight at first. Kevin Mitchell at third. 2-2 to Mookie Wilson. And it's going to go to the backstop. Here comes Mitchell to score the tying run. And Ray Knight is at second base. And he pops it in the air, foul off to the right. Gedman coming over. He will not have a play. That was a wild pitch.
Way inside. Gedman reaches for it. You see he hardly moved as far as shifting, and it gets by him a wild pitch. Apparently not near where he was looking for the pitch.
5-5 in a delirious 10th inning. Line drive foul.
And Marty Barrett was out of position because they had Knight really picked up, but Stanley didn't see him. There it is again. You see, he just reaches for the ball. Down goes Mookie. It kind of sailed inside. And here comes Barrett in to talk to Stanley, because had Mookie hit just a weak ground ball, Barrett was way out of position because they had a good chance to get Knight at second base.
Can you believe this ball game at Shea?
Oh, brother.
So the winning run is at second base with 2 out, 3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
That was not a happy game for me because I was a Red Sox fan. I did like the Mets, but I would prefer to have had the Red Sox win that one.
And today, I think that is what Bill Buckner is most remembered for, is hearing behind the bag, it gets through Buckner, and the Mets win it.
Yeah, but that's sad because Buckner was a really good player.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've got another call by Vin Scully. This is a classic. This is from the 1988 World Series, Game 1. Dennis Eckersley is on the mound, and a lame Kirk Gibson is coming up to pinch hit.
And look who's coming up. To him to light the fire, and all year long he answered the demands until he was physically unable to start tonight with 2 bad legs, the bad left hamstring and the swollen right knee. And with 2 out, you talk about a roll of the dice. This is it. If he hits the ball on the ground, I would imagine he would be running 50% to first base. So the Dodgers trying to catch lightning right now. Fouled away.
He was, complaining about the fact that with the left knee bothering him, he can't push off. Well, now he can't push off and he can't land.
He's going to use all arms. Look at his crowd on its feet. What a tribute.
4-3 A's. 2 out, 9th inning. Not a bad opening act. Mike Davis, by the way, has stolen 7 out of 10. If you're wondering about Lasorda throwing the dice again. Fouled away again.
And he's staying on an outside corner. He's not going to give him a ball to pull. With Davis, he just missed. But here's 2 quick strikes, both fastballs that kind of tail away the outside part. Hasse is not even flirted with the inside part of that plate.
You saw Dave Duncan gesturing. He was gesturing to Carney Lansford at third. 0-2 to Gibson. The infield is back with 2 out and Davis at first. Now Gibson during the year, not necessarily in this spot, but he was a threat to bunt. No way tonight, no wheels.
They're plenty deep in the outfield and a lot of room. They're playing him straight away in center field. Look at it, right down the line. He's a threat now with 2 strikes.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Little nubber foul. And it had to be an effort to run that far. Gibson was so banged up, he was not introduced. He did not come out onto the field before the game.
You can really see the limp. He's not driving that ball. It was by him. Let's see, he's really almost has to talk to his legs and say, hey, let's go, we got to get out of here.
It's one thing to favor one leg, but you can't favor 2.
No way, and that's what he's trying to do. He really is.
0-2 to Gibson. Ball 1. And a throw down to first. Davis just did get back. Good play by Ron Hasse using Gibson as a screen. He took a shot at the runner, and Mike Davis didn't see it for that split second, and that made it close.
A lot of times what you do, you'll give a sign to the first baseman, say, now be there. They call it now be there play. If I get the ball, I'm going to throw it. 14 fastballs in a row. That's all he's been throwing.
There goes Davis, and it's fouled away. So Mike Davis, who had stolen 7 out of 10 and carrying the tying run, was on the move.
They wanted to give Gibson a good shot at it with 2 strikes, but with the 2 strikes, Davis a threat, as we said, because the blue pit will score that big run.
Gibson shaking his left leg, making it quiver like a horse trying to get rid of a troublesome fly. 2-2. Mike Scioscia can only sit now and sweat it out. He led off the inning and popped up. Tony La Russa is 1 out away from win number 1.
Here's the big pitch. He's got to make it happen on this one.
2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out.
Those extra steps that Davis will get if the count goes to 3-2 are very big. So Hasse and Eckersley want that pitch of decision right here.
There he goes, way outside. He's stolen it.
Hasse started to throw and kind of bumped Gibson, but it was way too late. Davis was way down there, almost as if he could have walked in. Not a bad pitch to handle for Hasse outside. Now watch when he starts to throw. Look at Gibson. And Harvey says, no, he had the base stolen.
So Mike Davis, the tying run, is at second base with 2 out. Now the Dodgers don't need the muscle of Gibson as much as a base hit. And on deck is the leadoff man, Steve Sachs. 3-2. Sachs waiting on deck, but the game right now is at the plate. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
Well, there's a bunch more cheering on that one. So we had 3 by Vin Scully. That one I was happy about because I was a Dodgers fan. So let's do the. This is, well, we're going to go backwards for a minute here.
Okay.
This one, again, being a Red Sox fan, I was happy about this one. From 1975, Game 6 of the World Series, Red Sox, Cincinnati Reds, Carlton Fisk home run, which when it took place, I yelled and woke up my daughter. So this is from 1975. Dick Stockton is the broadcaster.
And the wind blowing out. We've had 3 homers tonight, all to right field or center field. Carbo's was to dead center. The other 2 to right. There's a ball. There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run. Seventh game in this 1975 World Series. Carlton Fisk becomes the first player in the series to hit one over the wall into the net. Red Sox win it 7-6.
Okay, that was 12 innings, I think. I know it was extra innings.
It seems that Red Sox catchers have a history of doing very amazing things in the postseason. Because just in my lifetime, I can remember David Ross hitting his... I think he had 2 home runs that game in the 2013 World Series. And then in 2021, I believe, Christian Vasquez had a 2-home run game of his own. So if you are a Red Sox... and obviously Jason Varitek. But if you are a Red Sox catcher in the postseason, you are going to hit multiple home runs.
Well, and Carlton Fisk was a Hall of Famer, too. I have a request from Jake for Game 6, 1993 World Series. This is the Toronto Blue Jays broadcaster, Tom Cheek, Joe Carter at bat.
Joe has had his moments. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Here's the pitch on the way. A swing and a belt. Left field. Way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
All right, so that one's that one. Unfortunately, another ex-Cleveland Indian who did better after he left the Indians. Here's a home run for Barry Bonds. This is the one that put him ahead of Hank Aaron. And the broadcaster on this one is Giants broadcaster Dwayne Kuiper. another ex-Cleveland Indian. 756 for Bonds.
Deals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is high. 756. Bonds stands alone. He is on top of the all-time home run list. What a special moment for Barry Bonds. And what a special moment for these fans here in San Francisco. There it is.
I'd say Dwayne was a little excited on that one.
Definitely.
This one just took place last season.
Another record-breaking home run.
And this is Michael Kay doing the play-by-play of Aaron Judge's 62nd home run.
Left field, right field seats are jammed. People looking to grab that home run number 62. There's a strike, 1-1. Judge hitting .310 after the one hit in game one. High fly ball, deep left. There it goes, soaring into history. He's done it. He has done it. 62. Aaron Judge is the American League single-season home run leader. The AL King. Case closed.
Next, there's a couple of them here. This is another request for Jake. This is from the 2017 ALDS, Indians and Yankees, right?
Yankees.
Yep. So this is Tom Hamilton, who, as far as I'm concerned, is the next broadcaster right behind Vin Scully as far as being the best. This one from 2017, Tom Hamilton.
Everybody on their feet. Green sets, fires. A swing and a drive to deep right, away back, off the pole.
I thought Tom was going to speak again.
He might. He might.
Well, let's try it. Come on, Tom.
A grand slam high off the right field foul pole. He's done it again. Francisco Lindor has pulled the Indians to within a run. A 2-out towering grand slam down the right field line. His second of the season. Yankees 8, Indians 7. We'll be right back.
It's too bad that the Indians didn't go farther that year because they actually had a better year than the year before when they went to the World Series.
Satisfy me more and do the Vasgersian call of that because I like it when Vasgersian screams. It's the extended cut of Chisenhall's hit by. You can just probably skim to where it is, though.
Chisenhall
It's only 2 minutes.
Okay, never mind.
Best hitter with runners in scoring position this year. The next 0-2. And that hit him. That loads the bases. An 0-2 pitch that hits Lonnie Chisenhall after a series of spoils and foul balls. He's on base, and they're now loaded for one of the best run producers in the game.
I think Sanchez thinks that hit the bat. Let's see. It hits the knob of the bat. Sanchez could hear the sound, and it hits the knob of the bat, and he somehow finds his glove. It's exactly what happened.
I don't know that
it hits the knob of the bat. He could tell as a catcher. He knows the difference in those sounds, and he right away went to his manager. But if they don't have conclusive, a spot where they can take the risk. He heard the sound.
That is a reviewable play, but the Yankees choose not to review it. And now it's Lindor with the bases loaded. Can the Indians do something with the opportunity?
Wow, you don't see that very often. You could tell by the reaction of the hitter, too, when he went to first base.
Unfortunately, I had to cut it there because if you remember, they patched in the Tom Hamilton call right at that point.
Yes.
So that was Matt Vasgersian calling the same Lindor home run that we just heard from Tom Hamilton. I've been a Cleveland Indians fan for 60 plus years, and one of the most exciting events to ever take place that I witnessed was in the 2016 World Series. Unfortunately, the Indians lost that one to the Chicago Cubs, but Jake was sitting there watching the game with me. We weren't listening to this call. We were listening to the TV broadcast.
Which was Joe Buck, unfortunately.
But this is Rajai Davis's home run, Game 7, 2016 World Series, the high point of the Cleveland Indians season. Tom Hamilton at the mic.
Off of Aroldis Chapman.
Two outs, Guyer at second. 6-4, Cubs leading the Indians. Game 7 of what has been a classic World Series between two teams that have longed for that championship more years than any other two franchises in baseball. 68 years for the Indians, 108 years for the Cubs. Now the pitch. Swung on, line to deep left field. It is gone! You should see the celebration out of the Indians' third base dugout. Rajai Davis, a bullet, two-run homer down the left field line, clearing the 19-foot wall. We are tied at 6.
And then the rain came and everything went to hell.
And then I went upstairs and cried after Ben Zobrist's double.
But at any rate,
it was still fun.
It was an exciting at bat. I've got a couple more that I want to play here before we wrap things up tonight. In my childhood, I wish I had written. I read a lot of biographies about Major League Baseball players. Al Kaline, Eddie Matthews, Mickey Mantle, and Stan Musial was one of the biographies that I read. And usually after I read one of these things, I ended up kind of being a fan of that team for one reason or another.
Except the Tigers.
So, well, no, Al Kaline was one of my favorite players too. But back in 1964, I would go out in the backyard with a rubber ball, and I would throw the ball off the back of the house, which I was not supposed to do, or sometimes off the back of the garage, which I was allowed to do, and pretend like I was playing third base for the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know why I chose the St. Louis Cardinals. It was probably because I had just read the Stan Musial story. But strangely enough, as the season progressed, and I was the third baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals, they started winning games and ended up winning the National League pennant and also beat the Yankees in the World Series. So I was a Cardinal fan from that time on for whatever reason. So the call that we're going to have now is the Cardinals broadcast call of Albert Pujols' 700th home run. This game took place last season.
No, 2 seasons ago. No, it was last season. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, where was I that
I don't know.
that extra season?
Yeah, didn't you hear Jose Ramirez won MVP?
So this is actually the first home run, no, the second home run he hit that game, because he hit 699 and then 700. This is the 700th. This is the Cardinals broadcast with John Rooney at the microphone.
Widespread stance, arms out over the plate. Bickford from the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. A swing, and there it goes! Left field, way back! That's home run number 700! Pujols hits a 3-run homer, and he hit 699 and 700 at Dodger Stadium on September 23rd, 2022. 8:23 p.m. Pacific Time.
Every Cardinal is out of the dugout congratulating Albert Pujols. The Dodgers are on the top step clapping for their former teammate and friend who they honored before the game today. Everybody in the ballpark is standing. What a great moment, a Hollywood moment here in LA. And Albert has been writing Hollywood moments all summer long, and you can add this one to the list, 700 home runs for the great Albert Pujols.
A team meeting in front of the Cardinal dugout. Hugs all over the place for Albert Pujols as he celebrates 700 career home runs. Barry Bonds, 762. Hank Aaron, 755. Babe Ruth, 714. Albert Pujols, 700. Danny, thank you for allowing me to make the call. I was more nervous on 699 than I was for that one.
You nailed both of them.
But thank you.
You nailed them.
Albert Pujols. And there are more memories to come, guys.
You got it. And now it's Goldie following that. Good luck. There's a strike at the knees. What a moment. Great call, John.
Oh,
so well done.
Great swing by Albert Pujols. He lofted two into the Southern California night. I mean, he killed them.
Do you remember that the guy on the baseball on MLB
what is his name?
Called it? I don't know what his name is. He annoys the hell out of me sometimes. But remember, he predicted this at the beginning of the season.
Greg Amsinger.
Yeah, before the season even started, he called that this was going to be the game that he hit his 700th home run in.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. So we've got one more broadcast, and again, this is a request by Jake. This one just happened this season. Domingo Germán of the New York Yankees threw a perfect game against the worst team in baseball, the Oakland Athletics. And here is the final out by an unknown broadcaster. I have no idea who was doing the play-by-play on this.
Because it's not Michael Kay, and it's not Mr. Kuiper.
Domingo Germán, 1 out away from forever. Uri Ruiz stands in his way. Grounded to third. Donaldson has it. There it is. Perfection for Domingo Germán. Domingo Germán has thrown the 24th perfect game in baseball history. The 4th perfect game in Yankees history. And you will always remember where you were June 28th of 2023.
He did it. Wow. Oh my gosh, that was so incredible to watch. Good for him. An incredible outing. The defense, outstanding. How about Higgy? What a game. Oh my gosh.
So that is a current historic moment. And unfortunately, it was by a Yankee, but hey, what the heck.
And a Yankee that I really don't like because of his on-field and off-field problems.
So anything here that you want to hear yet that we haven't done?
I guess the 3 homers.
This one here?
Yep.
All right. And only because it's Francisco Lindor, even though he's no longer an Indian/Guardian, he's still one of our favorite people. This is Matt Vasgersian, Mets Yankees from his first season, I think.
2021.
Was it?
Yep.
Okay. So here's Francisco Lindor's 3 home run game against the Bronx Bombers.
Lindor with a swing and a drive out to right field. Gallo on the move, still on the move, and it's gone! If Francisco's first year as a Met could include a signature moment, we just watched it.
And this breaking ball, not the good one that Buster was talking about. A little bit of a cement mixer, overthrew it, a little fatigued. Leadoff walks and leadoff errors will kill a team, and they did just that. Lindor with an excellent, beautiful, high home run to right center field.
Feeling a little more comfortable here in the Big Apple.
From the Yankees dugout. He told this to Marley Rivera of ESPN Radio earlier today.
Francisco Lindor's done it again. His second homer of the game.
And Lindor this time from the right side. Little BP fastball there, change, and an absolute bomb. Little circle change, turns it over a little bit. Not enough. And the emotion around first base. Admired the way he came up. Always played with a friendly chip on his shoulder. Signed autographs. A great ambassador of the game. And the kid absolutely loves baseball.
Well, I think he's an enemy across town as of tonight.
That's fair.
And I mean that in a complimentary sense, right? You've arrived in that regard.
Oh my gosh.
Did he get another one?
Oh!
Gallo's on his way back. He got it! Santa Maria! Lindor again!
Oh my! Wow!
just the second ever Mets shortstop to enjoy a 3-homer game.
Should be a current call here coming soon.
He just validated all 341 million tonight.
And there he comes. Oh.
Well, and since you like Matt Vasgersian, I got one more recording that he did.
And also, there was a second and third home runs that game were both game-tying home runs. I do not remember who ended up winning the game, but I know that...
it was a New York team.
That is true. I know that Lindor and Stanton were yelling at each other going around rounding the bases, so not sure what that was about.
This is from the 2015 ALDS Game 5.
Joey Bats.
Jose Bautista. You won't be able to hear his bat flip.
For so long, and it's going to burn you. No doubt about
it. Okay, that shouldn't have cut out so quickly, but at any rate, you heard the basic stuff on there. We've got a lot of information and music and other things that we're just not going to be able to get to. So there may be another baseball broadcast coming your way at some point. But I wanted to finish this on a humorous note. So I've got a few baseball classics here. This first one is by Abbott and Costello, and it's not what you're thinking it is. This is a little known one, and I don't even remember how I found this, but it's Abbott and Costello with another baseball-oriented bit.
Costello, don't waste time with him. Now, you've got to get ready for the opening game. Yes, I think we're going to play the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland Indians, eh? Uh-huh. Feller pitching? Certainly there's a feller pitching. Who do you think they'd use, a girl? Oh, I know they don't use a girl. I said feller pitching. What feller? Feller with the Cleveland Indians. Look, Abbott, there's 9 guys on the Cleveland team. Now, which feller are you talking about? Feller that pitches. There is only one feller with Cleveland. You mean 9 Yankees are going to play against one feller? That's right. You mean there's no fellas in the outfield? No. And there's no fellas in the infield? No. Cleveland only has one feller. Well, this fella must be pretty good if he don't need any other players but himself. Look, all the players will be out there helping him. You just said there was only one feller on the team. That's right. Then where did all them other fellers come from? Ah, you idiot. When I say there's only one feller on the team, I mean there is only one feller that pitches. Well, Abbott, when the manager of the team wants this pitcher, what does he call him? Feller. You mean he just hollers, "Hey, feller!" And this guy knows that they mean him? That's right. His name is Feller, Bob Feller. And when I say there is only one feller on the team that pitches, that's it. And the feller that pitches is Feller. There's only the other fellers on the team, but there's only one feller. Boy, are you mixed up. Oh, you mean the feller that pitches is feller, and there's other fellas on the team, but they're not fellas? Now you grasp it. Yes, I grasp it, but it keeps slipping out of my hand.
So, another one of their play on words bits. And they did, of course, the famous Who's on First sketch. Wasn't as good as Hook and I, but and it was much shorter than the one we did. But they did it in a movie called Naughty 90s. And that's usually when I'm playing that sketch, I usually play that one. However, I found another one that I believe they performed at a retired actor's home. and it was actually described as the definitive version. So that's the one I'm going to play here. It's a little bit long. It's about a minute and a half longer than the version that was in the movie. And then I'm going to play the Who's on First, the sequel, which took place on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal.
And wasn't it Rob Schneider as well?
No,
Am I imagining
it
that?
was. He had that show. I can't think of his
You can
name.
hover over it. It should say it. You probably have to look through.
Jimmy Fallon.
Bill Crystal.
Jerry Seinfeld. But first, we're going to do the definitive version of Who's on First by Abbott and Costello.
We're organizing a baseball team here at the retired actors' home, and I am the manager. Now,
You're going to be the manager of the retired actors baseball team?
yes.
I would like to join the retired actors baseball team.
Oh, you would?
And I would like to know some of the guys' names on the team, so if I want to play with them, I'll know them, and I meet them on the street or in the home here, I can say hello to them.
Oh, sure. But you know they give baseball players nowadays very peculiar names.
I know, a lot of funny names.
You know, like Stinky
Nicknames.
Fields.
Sticky Field.
Goofy Dan. Booby Bobber. Booby Bobber.
I know all those.
Well, let's see now. We have on our team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out, the guy's name.
And then,
That's what I want to find out, the guy's name.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Now, Abbott, you going to be the manager of the baseball team?
Yes.
You know the guys' names?
Well, I should.
Well, then you tell me the guys' names on the baseball
I
team.
say, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
You ain't saying nothing to me yet. Go ahead and tell me.
I'm telling him.
You ain't said nothing yet. Go ahead and tell me.
Who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
You know the guys' names on the baseball team?
Yes.
Well, go ahead. Who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the guy's name.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
What are you asking me for? I don't know.
Now, wait a minute,
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's his name.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
That's it. That's his name.
Well, you ain't said nothing. I ain't asked you nothing.
You did.
You know the guy's name on first base?
Sure.
Well, tell me the guy's name on first base.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who is on first, Lou?
What are you asking me for?
Now, don't get excited. I'm saying who.
I'm asking you a simple question. Who's on first?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who? I'm asking you, what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a time now.
Don't mix up my...
I'm not mixing up anybody. Now, what's the guy's name on first base?
Now, what is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who is on first?
I don't know.
He's on third. We're not talking.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Now, well, let's not
Whoa,
get...
whoa. How did I get on third base?
You mentioned his name.
I mentioned his name.
Yes.
I don't know anybody's name on the team. How could I mention a guy's name?
You did. You just mentioned it.
All right, what's the guy's name on third base?
No, what's on second?
Who's on second?
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on first.
See what I mean? I didn't even mention a guy's name on third base.
Yes, you did.
All right, then who's playing third base?
No, who's on first?
I'm not asking you what's on first.
What's on second?
Who's on second?
Who's on first?
I don't know. He's third base. I don't know anybody on a baseball team.
You do. You mention their names.
I do?
Sure.
You got an outfield?
Well, naturally.
The left fielder's name.
Why?
I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you.
Well, go ahead. Tell me.
Tell you what?
The left fielder's name.
Why?
Because I want to know. Because.
Oh, he's center field. You know these players as well as
Who's
I.
in center field?
Now, who's on first?
What's on first?
What's on second?
I don't know. Third base. Do you know the guys' names on the team?
Look, Louis, you don't seem to understand. See, I have a first baseman.
I know you got a first. I asked you what's the first baseman's name?
No, what's the second baseman?
I'm going to start asking you. So I asked you what's the first baseman's name?
What's the second baseman?
I don't even get past the first. All right, who's on second?
Who's on first?
What base do you want to talk about?
You talk about anyone you want to talk about.
All right, now who's on first?
Right.
Okay.
No.
All right, you got a first baseman. When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Every dollar of it.
Who gets it?
He does. Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes. Why not, Lou? He's earned it.
Who did?
Yes.
Look, will you pay off the first baseman every month? You get a receipt from the guy?
Sure.
How does he sign his name?
Who?
The guy you give the money to.
Who?
The guy you give the money to.
Well, that's how he signs it.
That's
Lou.
how who signs it?
Yes.
Go ahead, tell me.
That's it.
Who? Look, you go to first baseman.
Yes.
And you say to him, here's your money, sign the receipt. How does he sign his name?
Who?
The guy you give the money to.
That's how he signs it.
That's how who signs it?
Yes.
Sure. You gotta get a receipt from the guy, don't you?
Get one, Lou.
How does the guy on first base sign his name?
Who?
The guy on first.
That's how he signs it.
I'm asking, when you give the guy the money, what's the guy's name that you give the money to?
Now, wait a minute. What signs his own?
Who signs his own?
No, who signs his?
I mean, what's the guy's name on first you give
What is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. Left fielder's name, the center field. I don't know if you got a pitcher on the team.
Well, this will be a fine team without a pitcher.
It's a fine team. The pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
You don't want to tell me the day?
I can't change that name.
You don't want to tell me the day?
I'm telling you.
Go ahead. Tell me the pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
Why not tell me today? I ain't gonna wait tomorrow. Then tell me the pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
All right. What time tomorrow you tell me the pitcher's name?
What time what?
What time tomorrow you gonna tell me who's pitching?
Who is not pitching?
I'll break you right, you see who's on first. I want to know what's the pitcher's name.
What's on second?
I don't know. Third base. Third base. Third base. You got a catcher?
Certainly you've got a catcher on a baseball team.
Catcher's name.
Today.
Today. Tomorrow's pitching. Today's catcher.
Now you've got it.
Now I got it. All I got, we got a couple of days on the team. That's all.
I can't help that, Lou. I don't.
You know, I'm a pretty good catcher myself.
So they tell me.
Yeah, now I get behind the plate and I'm going to do some fancy catching, and tomorrow's pitching on my team, right?
Yeah.
Now tomorrow he winds up the ball and I'm behind the plate and the heavy hitter gets up.
Yeah.
Now the heavy hitter gets up and he's ready to hit the ball, and tomorrow's going to throw the ball. I'm the catcher. Now when tomorrow throws the ball, the guy up bunts the ball. Now when he bunts the ball, me being a good catcher, I want to throw the guy out of first base, so I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Now that's the first thing you've said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's all you have to do.
Is to throw the ball to first base.
Yes.
Now who's got it?
Naturally.
Sure. Look, the guy is running to first base, but I want to throw the guy out. So I throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
Throw it to who?
Naturally.
And who's got it?
Naturally.
So I pick up the ball and I throw it to Natural.
No. You throw the ball to first base, then who gets it?
Naturally.
That's it. Now you've
That's the same thing.
Right.
I pick up the ball, so I throw it to Natural.
You don't.
I throw it to who?
Naturally.
That's what I'm saying! I said I throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
You ask me.
You throw the ball to who?
Naturally. Same as you!
Say it that
I
way.
throw the ball to Naturally.
You don't. You throw it to who?
Now who's got it? Naturally. That's what I said.
Right.
Whoever it is better get it. That's all I can tell
Don't
you.
worry about who.
Who'll get it?
Yes.
He better get it.
All right.
Now, I throw the ball to whoever it is drops the ball, so the guy runs a second. Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to I don't know. Throws it back to Tamar. Triple play.
Could be.
Another guy gets up, and it's a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't give a darn. I said, I don't give a darn.
Oh, that's our shortstop.
Oh, anyway, that it was Abbott and Costello, and now we've got Jimmy, Billy, and Jerry with a Who's on First sequel.
I tell you, Jimmy, you know what I love, Jimmy? I love baseball. When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so when I see them in that big St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas?
All right, but you know, strange as it may seem, they give these ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
Funny names.
Nicknames, pet names. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
And who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who's on first?
Why are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you who is on first.
You guys talking about me?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. This is who?
How should I know? know. I never met the guy.
Well, now you've met him.
Met who?
Yes.
Look, would you tell me your name?
Who?
You.
Who?
Him.
Me?
Yes.
Who?
What is your name?
No. What's on second? This is who?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
All right, calm down, will you?
Okay, listen. When I say hello to this fella right here, I'm saying hello to who?
Hello, nice to meet you.
See, now you're starting to get it.
Get what?
I'm right here.
And who are you?
I'm who?
What?
Yes?
Who's this fella?
No, who is that fella?
I am who? Who am I?
How am I supposed to know? What's your name?
No, what is his name?
I'm not asking you what his name is. I'm asking you, who is this fella right here?
That's right.
But what's his name?
What is my name?
You don't know your name.
Of course I do.
Well, then tell me.
What?
Your name.
What?
What's wrong with this guy?
Who?
What? Yes?
Oh, I think he's got a hearing problem.
Who?
What? Yes? Look. Can't you see him talking to him? Who? What? Who? What? Who? What? Who? What?
Boys, settle down. Now then, I'm glad that's all cleared up. He's who and what's his name?
I don't know!
All right, gentlemen, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. Look, it's very simple. This fella's actual name is who? W-H-O. And this fella's actual given birth name is what? W-H-A-T.
Well, that clears it up. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? But wait, who are you?
I don't know.
Third base!
So I thought that was pretty funny. And in closing, I would just like to say something that Casey Stengel once said, that you have to draft a catcher. If you don't have one, the pitch will roll all the way to the screen. And that's going to wrap up our first baseball-oriented show. And taking us to the end, this is Carly Simon. Take me out to the ball game.
And she had it bad. Just to root for the hometown crew. Every cent that Katie spent. On one Saturday, her young beau called to see if she'd like to go to see a show. But Miss Kate said no. I'll tell you what you can do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame, 'cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Katie Casey saw all the games, knew all the players by their first names, told the umpire he was wrong all along, and she was strong. When the score was 2-2, Katie Casey, she had the clue to cheer on the boy. She knew just what to do. She made everyone sing the song. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I do not care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame.